So I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but so our Sunday lectionary starts with Advent, and our Sophia lectionary actually starts this month with May, um, which took me way too long to figure out. They start 6 months apart, but yes. Um, and it's interesting to me that the first reading from the Pistis Sophia for this year is not the beginning of her story, but the beginning of her ascending out of the darkness. Because the full story is, she gets confused. She descends instead of ascends, asks for a whole bunch of help while praising the light, and with help of the angels and Jesus, basically ascends back out of the darkness, um, up into the light higher than where she started out from. And so the point in the story in the reading today is basically the point where it seems like all hope is lost, but then she gathers her light starts coming back into her before she can dissipate completely. So on the narrative curve, it's basically the like kind of the oh holy shit moment. Forgive my French. Um, and it feels weirdly right to start there, although I don't really have the words to explain why, even to myself. Um, so I'm going to skip that bit and just go into um, something I realized um, about her ascent out of the darkness, which is that at no point does she ever say to herself, "This isn't happening. Things aren't that bad." There's no minimizing that happens in that moment. She kind of messes up when she creates the Archon because she freaks out, hides him in a cloud because she doesn't want to admit it. But like, we're not talking about that moment. That's kind of separate. Um, so I bring that up because I feel like it's also important to point out that she is not always perfect either. Which means if Sophia, a goddess, is not always perfect, then we should give ourselves permission to not be perfect either, because I mean, she's the embodiment of wisdom. If the embodiment of wisdom can make a mistake, then the rest of us need to remember that, especially if you have the perfectionism thing in your brain like I do. Yes. So yeah, when she's ascending out of the darkness, there's never a moment of, oh, it's fine. It's not that bad. Instead, it's like, oh crap, this is not what I meant. This is not what I meant to happen. Help, sort of a thing. And I think that is a significant part of why she's able to ascend in the first place, because she accepts her situation as it actually is, not as she wished it to be, not as she wants it to be. She's not looking at the past or the future. It's, oh crap, I'm surrounded by chaos. My light is being drained from me. I need way more help than I actually have just in myself. So help. Which actually makes me think of how uh, I think it's Spanish, Our Lady of Perpetual Help. The version of help they use is basically like screaming help, I'm drowning, not the like I need a little bit of help. It's more of the like emergency help. That's the kind of help we're talking about. She's just like, because again in the reading, like her light almost completely vanishes. Which I've read this several times, and it was only this time that I realized how close she was to, I guess, the divine equivalent of true death. Um, yeah, because as a human, I tend to minimize things, and I, on other readings of this, I've kind of skimmed over that bit, but yeah. And so when all this is, it's okay to look at your circumstances or your life or your brain or whatever is going on and go, oh shit, this is really bad. It's actually how you get out of the situation in the first place. Like it may not feel like it, especially since like kind of like getting a tractor out of mud. It's gonna take a while and it's not gonna be really fast. Like you get momentum as you get it out of the mud, but the first bit, you're wondering if you can even get out in the first place. Grew up on a farm, so there was many times where they had to pull a tractor out with another tractor, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, accept your situation, but also like you're allowed to freak out, but don't freak out so much that you don't do anything that will help whatever is going on. Because like Sophia's doing everything she can to help herself. She admits, in the passages that she needs more help than she has, but she's doing as much as she can, and she's calling out for help, and basically the divine reaches down and helps the remaining however much percentage is required. And so, like with that whole thing, it's one of those feel your feelings, see your situation for what it is, whatever that looks like. Ask for help from the divine or people around you, or see a doctor or a therapist, or whatever it is that's going on. Figure out if there's something that you can do, if there's something other people can do, if it's a mix, whatever. And then do what you can yourself and with others, the divine, and slowly get your tractor out of the mud. Whatever it is, it might take ages. It might be immediate and might actually not be that bad. It depends on the thing, honestly. I mean, like, for instance, myself, I've had depression and anxiety for years. And I've been on medications and stuff, dealing with stuff for basically I've been like slowly getting out of the mud since the pandemic happened. It predated that, but that's when it got really bad. And I'm only now like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and that was how many years? So like in this world of instant gratification, not everything is going to be an instant fix, is what I'm saying. And that's okay. It's okay for things to not be great if they're not great. And pretending that they are, if they're not, will not only make you feel crazy, but it doesn't actually help you figure out how to get out of it in the first place. Because if you're in denial, you can't see the problem to fix it first. Yeah. I feel like I'm starting to repeat myself. So I'm going to end it there. I hope that helps. Yes, so go in peace, and may the lady walk with y'all.